9, 8, 7. We have a go for main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
I'm battling me. I've been searching for some peace, want the negativity gone, yeah. I'm battling me. I've been working all on me, know I got the rinse repeat, oh yeah. I'm battling me. Yeah, nobody else, only myself. Battling me, battling me, battling me, yeah. Nobody else, only myself. Put on your phone, get in the zone. Do not disturb, leave me alone. Working on me, I'm picking a bone. Please do not text, I'm not at home. Screenshots, I'm hitting delete. When you been silent, don't need no receipts. My daddy was just a little reverend. Maybe that mean that I should go preach. I did not know him, but that do not mean the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Sometimes your blood ain't really your family. Wanting to suck on you just like a leech. Just like a leech. I was dinner with shadow and town, just like a peach. I'm battling me. I've been searching for some peace, want the negativity gone, yeah. I'm battling me. I've been working all on me, know I got the rinse repeat, oh yeah. I'm battling me. Yeah. Nobody else, only myself. Battling me, battling me, battling me, yeah. Nobody else, only myself. I do not want no friend. I see the fight through the lens. Lie to me and they pretend. Got me on 10, just like I'm Ben. Battling a bunch of sin. Losing, but I'm about to win. About to hop up on the fence. I'm jumping in, baby. I f***ed up from the neck down. I don't wanna be a letdown. You know that I'm on the way now. Swear that I just wanna win. Screaming with all of my wind. I'm battling me. I've been searching for some peace. Want the negativity gone, yeah. I'm battling me. I've been working all on me. Know I got the rinse repeat, oh yeah. I'm battling me. Yeah. Nobody else, only myself. Battling me, battling me, battling me, yeah. Nobody else, only myself.
Stop comparing yourself to everybody. Comparison is the thief of joy. If you gonna battle somebody, battle yourself. You feel me? Yo.
Do the right thing,
Yeah.
do the right thing,
Yeah. Wait.
do the right thing,
Yo.
yeah.
Decide.
What is up, SFL Nation? Welcome back to SFL Nights with AJ Stryker. Thank you so much for joining me today or tonight or whenever you decide to hit that play button or turn on that radio dial. I really appreciate it, y'all. I want to say, first of all, that song that we just heard from Dear Silas, Battling Me, when I heard it, I had to have it on this show because when you are dealing with depression and anxiety, you are battling yourself. You know, now what happens is within this battle that's going on with within you, you may be lashing out at others. You may be doing things that will affect other people, but all of this is inside you, and a lot of times people don't know how to recognize it or how to deal with it. Especially men, they feel like they can't talk about what's going on with them. They can't talk about their personal feelings or their personal issues with things. Where women, we're free flowing about it. And I feel like that's stigma in itself that needs to change, But we are gathered here today to be able to take a moment and recognize what anxiety and depression really is, and hopefully be able to work on it, at least not be able to solve everybody's problems, but at least each other's stories, understanding the experiences that we're all going through, and finding different ways to cope with it in a healthy way. Because of course, the easy way for you to go out and do something crazy, do something that's final, but you don't know how that affects you, and you don't know how it affects your family. And then just by simply saying something, it could help you. So I want to welcome to the stage Mr. Robert Henson Jr., one of my first guests that signed up for the show this evening. Now, keep in mind, we're all from the SFL for those that are not, that are from on the radio, and that may not be privy to what the Simulation Football League is. It is our, basically, our safe haven in a lot of ways. But this is a place where we all go play esports. We're all on teams. Some of us are owners or coaches, but we have these little one-off shows sometimes just to kind of bring the community together. And Robert was one of the people that said, I wanted to be a part of this. So thank you so much, Robert. How are you doing?
I'm okay. This is going to be an interesting show for me. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it tonight because I'm currently dealing with a topic right now. So tonight's going to be an interesting show for me.
Yes, sir. Well, you know what? We're going to do our best to work through it together. All right, love?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then. Next up, I have Mr. Jesse Long joining us this evening. What's going on, Jesse?
Hello. Everything is so good, despite an event that happened in my life as well. Everything is well. Like you said, you are your own worst enemy in a lot of ways, and we'll be talking about that here. But everything is just so good, and sometimes, like you really have to learn to appreciate the present, and when the present is good. The seas are calm right now. I'm going to enjoy that, and we're going to get together as a community and talk about it some more. So I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And you're rookie too, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, you're one rookie. Yeah, me and Sean Williams, my big bro. Yeah, out in Philadelphia, man.
Perfect.
I feel for him sometimes because he hits the line of scrimmage and someone 330 pounds hits him right back. And I mean, it makes my job a little easier.
Next up, welcome in Mr. Yeah, Jacob here joining us this evening. Jacob, all the way from Australia, has been a member of the league for a very long time. He has been a very, very vital part of the community as far as how versed he is, how well he helps out with everything. I mean, from doing articles to being coach, owner, doing everything, man. Welcome.
Appreciate the warm introduction, Ashley. It was good to bring my show back yesterday and also to jump on this one. When I saw the first one, I didn't know it was sort of in your queue of things to talk about, but I was really excited. I'm glad that this community has opened this up as a topic to talk about it openly.
Absolutely. And I especially, again, want to thank you for being, where you are at this moment, joining us here. So extra special. Thank you. Lastly, for now, I may have one more person joining if he can get in, which would be Bo Martin Jr., maybe. But I have Mr. Nate Brown with us this evening. Nate, over from Baltimore Vultures, checking in. What's going on with you, man? It's been a minute.
What's up with you, Queen? How you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
How you fellas doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah, had to get some feelings off our chest, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Do what we can.
Changed up a little bit. I like it.
Yes, sir. I mean, you got to have it somewhere. I mean, and the thing is, we always say that this community is much more than just the esports that we all watch, the progressions that we put in, So I figure, why not show everybody what we do here that is priceless. We paying to be here, but this part right here is priceless.
For sure. Thank you for inviting me.
Hey, man, anytime. I think it'd be a good idea. I do want us to be able to share our personal experiences, whether you're dealing with anxiety or whether you're dealing with depression. Let us know first, like what you're going through. Then after we've all gone, then we'll be able to talk about different ways of how you're coping with it and maybe some other healthy ways that we can maybe suggest to each other on how we can cope with things too. So just as a reminder, depression is a persistent state of sadness or loss of interest in activities that interfere with daily life. It involves a range of emotional, cognitive, and physical symptoms, including low mood, reduced enjoyment in activities, and physical symptoms like fatigue, sleep disturbances, and appetite changes. While everyone experiences sadness at times, depression is a more severe and prolonged condition requiring professional help at times. Anxiety is an emotional state characterized by feelings of fear, apprehension, and worry, often accompanied by physical symptoms, increased heart rate, and sweating. It is a natural human response to stress or perceived danger, but it can become problematic if it's persistent, excessive, and it interferes with your daily life. So, anxiety and depression are distinct conditions, though they can occur together. While anxiety is characterized by excessive worry, fear, and nervousness, depression involves persistent low mood, loss of interest, and other symptoms like fatigue and changes in appetite and sleep. So, um, I shared a little bit about what was going on with me. One of the things that I was, I'm actually better from, but it has its effects at times. Was almost losing my life and my child's life during childbirth. You know, dealing with the postpartum depression that comes with that because and the anxiety for feeling like either you're going to die or your child is going to die at some point. Um, whether they're getting enough because I was breastfeeding, so whether are they getting enough milk? Are you providing enough for them? Are you going to roll over on them in the middle of the night? Are you going to drop them? So it's all of that. Those were the kind of things, one of the things that I shared and that I was kind of dealing with. And it does bring your mood down. So I both basically have both the depression and anxiety. And it is a hard funk to try to get out of alone. But I want to start off with you. Who wants to go first? I'm gonna ask.
I'll volunteer.
Go ahead.
Oh, do you want me to go ahead?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely great. So, well, let me clear my throat.
Okay, there.
There we go. I wish I had the track backed up.
You mentioned anxiety, and I suddenly realized it as I was listening to you share. What gives everyone anxiety is unique to themselves. What gives you anxiety is unique to you, and your form of anxiety is unique to you. What may not create anxiety for you may create anxiety for somebody else. Now, for me, my anxiety always came from needing to have opportunity, not a usury of people, but needing to have opportunity because everybody I saw liked me. And if they had an opportunity, they'd connect me with it. And I had to be perfect, and you just can't do that. Like even if you run for president, like half the country's not going to think you should have the job. That's just how things work. And if you, in trying to just please everybody all the time, it just led to me being just neglecting myself and how I was feeling. But some people don't care how people think at all, but they may have something else that gives them an anxiety. So it's important to battle the anxiety within because, as Ashley mentioned, like you are your own worst enemy. Markiplier, the popular YouTuber, made a really good analogy or observation about bullies. Is that there's two kinds of bullies that we deal with. And that's the people that bully us and us bullying ourselves. And while the first bully is a lot harder to manage because it could be your boss and you have to keep going to work, which leads to depression, which we're going to all talk about because we're all there, right? We all got to get up, go to jobs, go to work, right? Pay the bills. And, and those bullies are a lot harder to navigate. But the tougher bully to deal with is us bullying ourselves. And if something caused you pain, like let's say you're holding a stone, like I got my little shameless plug here. I got my little Texans mini helmet, right? Love my Texans ever since day one. So if I'm holding this and suddenly it becomes 10,000 degrees, I just drop it, right? Because that hurts. But when we create pain within ourselves of anxiety or depression, it's still 10,000 degrees, but we don't drop it. And whenever you hear people say like, oh, you just got to let that go, right? You just got to let that go. You got to stop worrying about it. It sounds so simple, but it's kind of what you have to do. But you have a right to respect that it's hard to do. But you do have to do it, because understanding your mental health is having an active awareness within yourself. A lot of my analogies, and we're all fans of sports, right? We're in a sports league, right? Most of my analogies in life come from sports. And I often think of Michael Jordan when I think of active awareness, mindfulness. No matter the situation, it didn't matter, right? I mean, Beyonce could be sitting in the front row, there's 50,000 people screaming, right? The game is on in front of the entire country, right? There's cameras everywhere. He always knew how he felt in the situation. He always could internalize the situation and not let the external factors affect him. And that's what I always try to do in my situation now. And it's not easy to do. There are times where like maybe you'll mess up with it. You got to find out a way to keep yourself on track. You can sing a song to yourself. You could just something that keeps you actively aware, because anxiety does have a place in the world. Some things are just going to cause you anxiety. Like if you have a new child, maybe you're a first-time parent, new child, maybe your children are going to a formative stage, like they're becoming teenagers, or they're going off to college. Maybe you have a new job, a business venture, job interview, whatever that may be. And that's naturally going to cause you anxiety, because you should make sure you're doing the right thing with it. But the problem with us as humans is we can project, 10, 100, 1,000, 10, 100,000 moves into the future of the chessboard that is life. And we're psyching ourselves up for something that's probably not going to happen. I can tell you for years, I would just always think that when I got back to work, I was going to have somebody say, why'd you miss work? Why'd you call it sick? And it just didn't happen. So for me, trying to live in the present with anxiety, that's really helpful. And we'll talk more about anxiety before I give my, 2 cents, or in the case, $2. I could talk forever about anything. But before we talk more about depression. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go with Jacob on this. Jacob, you want to talk about your thoughts on depression and anxiety?
Plenty, actually. I think it's important to give a bit of context here as to what I bring. I certainly have challenges, as does everyone else. But the last 6 months of my life has been spent working in mental health. Now, that's not to say that I'm a psychologist by any means, but more specifically, I currently work in volunteer experience and training with the Mental Health Crisis Hotline, the national one here in Australia. So I've been quite privy to this and to the extent to which it's at, but particularly here, of course. But yeah, I just wanted to piggyback what Jesse said, and I think I'll probably do that across the course of the show, is just sort of add to what other people are saying, because I don't necessarily bring like extensive struggles to this panel, because I'm lucky enough that I haven't had too rough a journey through mental health to date. But we do a lot of safety planning in what we do, more so in the crisis support side of things, we do a lot of safety planning for people. And one of the things that we always make note of on those plans is what causes you to feel the symptoms that you experience. And of course, anxiety is obviously a top one there in that department. And we always make note of what we kind of use the word triggers quite loosely, but what sets that anxiety off in people is always worth noting, because it means that we can actively work with that individual to try and prevent that in the first place. And it's about sort of creating measures to essentially help people to navigate that before it comes up. So that was a really good point, because it's an important part of being proactive about your mental health, is understanding what causes it to bring itself out and rear its ugly head in the first place is understanding that cause. So just wanted to mention that was a really good point.
Okay.
Oh, also, and before we continue on that, your name, Jacob?
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great, perfect. So, and that's another great point that Jacob made. No matter what profession you work with, especially you work in something where you work with people that are under a lot of stress, or where you work with the general public, is that it's job burnout. I mean, there's been skeleton crews in every line of work. I mean, there's non-existent training. Managers don't have time to train anybody. Managers have hiring freezes. They can't hire anybody. I have times where I work in a paint department of a Home Depot, a very busy one. I mean, every Home Depot is busy, but ours is especially so. And sometimes I would have times where I would get there on a Saturday. I would be told that everybody called out and I'd be by myself. And then you got to take care of all these other departments. Like when people grab you at Home Depot, you're an expert, right? You stand next to the light bulbs, you're an electrician, right? That's just how the Home Depot's marketed. And, the job burnout is another part that's leading to our depression. And like my depression with job burnout when I first started living on my own and doing my thing as a grown-up is that, you can't just put your apron on the counter and say, you know what, I'm going to go do something else. Because you say to yourself, you know what, I'm so depressed, I'm going to find something. I'm just going to quit my job. I'll the angel on your shoulder saying, just quit your job. It'll take 2 weeks. Just save your money. You'll be fine. You deserve it. And the devil on your shoulder is like, oh, listen to this guy. You got bills to pay. You ain't going anywhere. And that leads to a lot of the depression. I would be so tired and so burnt out that I could feel it in my bones. In fact, I used up so much of my sick time. And at Home Depot, when you call out, sick time, you get what's called occurrence. And the occurrences are points and they add up, and just like points on a driver's license. And I had so many points that one of my assistant store managers sat me down and said, if you miss another day of work, and I had no sick time, if you miss another day of work, you get another occurrence, one more, you are fired. And I had to go 6 months without getting another occurrence. And that was really hard for me. And on the other side, some people say like, oh, well, it made me a better person. It's still tough. It didn't really make me a better person per se. It just, I got through it and I did it because I needed the job. But one of the things that's what's leading to a lot of depression is job burnout, and burnout caused by an industry that no longer trains people, but just turns and burns people and puts people through a lot of stress and says, you know what, we're not going to train them. We're not going to sit them down with a psychiatrist. We're not going to give them counseling. You know what, 3 or 4 months, when they can't take it anymore, they'll just walk off the job and we'll hire somebody else, and we'll just keep doing that. So a lot of economic factors of how employers treat their employees is also playing a big part in it, worldwide and nationwide.
Thank you, Jess. Nate, your situation was a little bit different from everyone else.
Yeah, I think I'll say, what was that? Like 1997, I had my first son, Nate Jr. You're doing. We're just doing like a little regular. Let's call that check-ins with the doctor. Make sure the baby's all right and go about the process if anything is wrong. But they brought this one doctor in, and I forgot what the profession was, but she looked at my son like, you know, he was kind of big. My son was like 9'3" at birth. You know what I mean? So, and she said, I think he may have Hunter syndrome. It's another word for it. You guys can look up Hunter syndrome, but I never heard this. It's more of a sort of a Down syndrome type thing.
Okay.
And I'm looking like, who the hell is you to be coming here pulling our coattails with this hocus pocus stuff? You know what I'm saying? So as we went along in life and years go by, he took some blood from him. I think he sent it down to Georgia, one of those states, to come back to make sure it was accurate. And I think about like probably 6 months he came back and he did have Hunter syndrome. And now the Hunter syndrome is something crazy because when I first heard about it, it said it's only a male-driven disease. Like only males can get this. And I'm like, what type of sexist disease is this? You know what I mean? And so as we going through the procedure and whatnot, and you know, going to doctor visit and whatnot, as my baby grew, he is like his tongue was real fat, his jaws real fat, his lungs were real fat, heart was real fat. You know what I mean? Like just, and it was clogged up inside his body, and then his arms and legs. I'll have to get a picture out to show y'all, but and it's kind of like you look at your kid like it's a project. Like, damn, what am I getting? You know what I mean? I love my baby, you know what I mean, for full, but I'm trying to understand because it's my first child. I don't know, you know what I mean? So we're going through the process, whatnot. And I think we had another visit with the doctor, and she was like, well, your baby may not live longer to be 4, 5, 6, 13, or you know what I mean, those ages like that. And that's the anxiety, like a smack in the face anxiety, like, hold on, stop it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you playing with my heart for real. I really want to do something to you, like, you know what I mean? But, he couldn't talk, you know what I mean? He more had to use his body to tell us what he wanted, or little Nate, he just takes stuff and put in your face, like, here, this is what I want without saying, you know what I mean? Or he was a little aggressive, whatnot, and I love my son, and we had some good times. We went across the country as much as we could to do things. He passed away at 9 or 11 years old in 2009. And you talk about anxiety. I think I was on my couch for like about a week and a half, yo. Only thing I got up to do was go use the restroom. I didn't want to eat nothing. I don't want to talk to nobody. I think I slept in darkness. And it's so crazy. I keep my house on dark right now. I got all black curtains. You know what I mean? My room is like a coffin type shit. You know what I mean? You just wake up, it's just dark in there. And it's comfortable for me because it helps me out because, you know, I don't like to be hot or whatnot. But yeah, he passed away in 2009. And I'm trying to get through this and just think like, damn, like, I don't ever question God. But I had that question that night, you know what I'm saying? That week, when I'm like, why you do this to me though? You know what I mean? And like, why you put this hurt on our family? You know what I'm saying? I still heard about it. You know what I mean? I might take a moment every now and then, just to, you know what I mean, just to keep the memory alive of my baby. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy. Then it's so crazy after that. We had another son named Nair. He also had the disease, and same issues, hard. He could talk a little bit better than little Nate, and he was smart as hell. He was sneaky and smart. love those guys. And, he passed away in 2014, but I think he was yeah, he was like 14. But you know, the things that we had to come across in life is so unpredictable, and we don't know until we cross that bridge, and then we have to face it head on. A lot of people was like, "Man, how could you do this?" And I mean, like, I, my babies. What could I do? I wasn't gonna run. I wasn't gonna leave. I wasn't gonna put my baby mother or my family on the low. I got to stand up tall, just like they stand up tall with me. So it was a crucial time. Like I said, I love my babies. I always think about them. And yeah, matter of fact, May 25th was Nair's birthday, and little Nate's birthday was December 21st. I don't even think I even told my team about this stuff because I just try to. That's one thing that I love the SFL. It's another atmosphere with other people that you can talk to, and we're all about this football thing. And I love football. That's probably like my number one baby right there too. So, and I think y'all just wanted to listen. Thank y'all for listening to what I had to say because I thought I should get a counseling or something. You know what I mean? But I don't want to. I think I'm stronger than that. Like AJ said, men carry the weight like bags on our back. We just got to get through it. You know what I mean? And I just want to thank God for letting me express myself, though. Appreciate it.
If I may, before I move on to Robert, and I do see both, I see you in the back. I'm gonna bring you up in a second. If I may, I know that guys often feel like you have to be the strong ones, because you are the strong ones, the stronger ones. But it hurts my feelings personally, and I know this is just what society has done. When guys feel like they can't express themselves, or they don't have an avenue, or they don't think that somebody is going to sit and listen or even care, you know. And I just want to let there are people out here that genuinely care, you know, and you know, I don't know that pain, man, but I can only imagine. And
Thank
if
you.
you ever need anybody to talk to, you have my number. You can call me. And this is, yeah, I had no idea all of that happened to you,
Yeah.
But I just want you all to feel like you can express yourself, though. Find somebody that you really do trust. And you do need to open up, because that is a part of the healing process, is to talk about it, be able to express it, and then you'd be able to at least heal. That's not something that you will ever be able to heal completely from, I would imagine, but it'll get a little bit more tolerable, and it helps to get therapy. Like, I got therapy. I had to, with the stuff that I went through. So I don't want you to think that it is a sign of weakness to get counseling or to get therapy, even if you just go one time and just get everything that you wanted to say off your chest at that one moment. That can help. So I just want to encourage you, if you do feel like that could be a possibility, do it, man. Nobody should ever judge you for that.
No, facts. I just thank y'all for listening, though. Like I said,
Absolutely.
I carried that weight for years, and I don't need to talk to my friends about it because they don't understand. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to talk to people that don't have the capability to understand that I'm on a way different level than y'all. Like, my kids need all my help. You know what I mean? Like other kids, I used to try to tell. I just told my one friend the other day, like, it wasn't a hateful jealousy. It's a jealousy that, like, my kids didn't get to do what y'all kids get to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I I can't go outside and throw the ball at my son. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like, as the age they was getting older, their bodies were like kind of like breaking down. You know what I'm saying? They both before they passed, they both was bed rest. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's kind of hard just to keep going in their room and I just looking at them and we just staring at each other. And, you know what I mean? Like it's a crazy situation, man. I wouldn't wish this on the worst enemy I've had in my life. You know what I mean? Like for real. That like just like that, like for real.
Thank you for sharing, Nate. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Robert, what about you, brother?
Well, before I start, Nate, as a father, I'll pray for you, my man.
I appreciate
I couldn't imagine. Well, as I said at the start, this will be an interesting show for me because I'm going through this right now. I have not, we're all being honest, we're all being open. I've been dealing with this my whole life. A lot of it's been a lot of downs. And I didn't have the easiest childhood. I dealt with something that's even harder for men to talk about as a sexual assault victim when I was little. That's not something that's easy, but I told Portia that I would be honest. So dealing with this has been a constant in my life. This is all I've ever known, is the down. And I just assumed that this is what life was. I'd be happy for a minute, things would go okay in my life, and I would be constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. And oftentimes it did, mostly through my own actions causing that shoe to drop, but I didn't know any better. Being happy never felt right. Cost me relationships, cost me jobs, cost me this, cost me that. But it's something that, unless you're going through it, you just can't understand. Like you it's like everybody has said here, people look at you and go, well, dude, you're a guy, get over it, man up. When you're in your heart, you know that you've tried every bad thing you could try to make this better, and I've done it all. You don't know what it's like to come home, to be in a group of people and be alone. Like you can be surrounded by your friends, your family, even the league, and you're alone. And you really feel alone. And like I said, as somebody that's been dealing with that their whole life, this is to have this here, to hear people be open about it, especially men, is huge. Because, like I said, we're supposed to just man up, run off your back. But as a human being, you can't carry that forever. And eventually you break. And unfortunately for me, I've broken a few times. But that's what depression is for me, is every day. And when we get to talking about the things that we do to deal with it, I'll get to that. But it's brutal, man. There's so much in this world to be joyous of. I got a really good job. I got a great wife. She's in the league with me. I got a wonderful kid. I have a UFL, SFL family that I love talking to you guys, all of you. But I'm alone. And it's a dark place to be. And like I said, I'm going through it right now, so I guess this is gonna be therapeutic for me. There's not words to describe how the next person you're looking at is dealing with this, and how deep their depression goes, and how you can't get up in the morning. You can't look at your kid without feeling a failure, or going to work every day hearing, why'd you call out? Well, I can't really talk to you about it because you don't care. You could say you care, but you don't care. It's a hard thing to do as a lifestyle, but you do the best you can to mitigate the lows. And that's, man, I don't have much to say about it, but because it's just what it is for me. And I'm sure 100 million other people that you just don't understand that depression and anxiety for people is okay. It happens every once in a while. That's for a lot of people. For me, it's every day, and it sucks. Yeah.
Keep your head up, man. Just keep your head.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to bring up Bo Martin, but I was wondering, Jacob, before I bring him up, did you have anything that you can maybe share from your experience as far as like from what you do dealing with these situations? Do you have any maybe words of comfort or maybe another way of viewing the situation?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it's different, but look, obviously it's fantastic. We've got three people here today who are very willing to talk about their feelings because it seems like a common theme that we all understand that there's a bit of a matter about males talking about their mental health. It is something that we're still trying to break down, and I think that's part of what I enjoy about what I do is that I am a bit of a minority in the sense that I'm one of a select minority males who work in this particular industry. But I appreciate Nate sharing his story. That's huge, and obviously something that's quite significant to have to go through, and that does, I'm sure, take a lot of strength away from you. I'd encourage you to think about potentially taking a step towards getting some support because the golden rule is always that you can't support others if you can't support yourself. And if you need to support others, then someone needs to support you. And it's not something that, unfortunately, us males have set up this whole idea that we need to be stronger than we uh, can sort of project on the outside than we are inside, and it's set up by us, and then therefore it's our responsibility to try and break that down. That's why I love what we're doing here at the moment is trying to encourage each other to do that. But hopefully we've got someone listening that's going to get that message as well. So it's not necessarily a case where you need to just keep going and put your head down and keep going. Trust me, I think we've all gotten that mindset before that needs to be the course of action. It's just viewing it from the perspective of like, hey, we've got a role. We've got a role in life that we need to play, and it's very likely that we've got people who rely on us. Therefore, we need to rely on someone in our own respect to ensure that it balances the equation. It's as simple as that at times. So it's just about that encouragement of going. It's not a sign of weaknesses. That was the wording that you guys have used, so we'll go with that. But it's just about creating balance in your life, that it's not tipping too far one way. And the theme that I picked up between both Jesse and I think Henson to a certain extent is employment, and it's a huge one because we found that there are two different classifications of employment that we feel cause the most issues amongst mental health. It's low dynamic environments, so just mundane tasks over and over and over again that doesn't change. It's the same structure every single time, low interaction, that sort of thing. Anything like that, that's a source of issue. And then, of course, you've got high pressure and low reward environments. So instances where there's heap of pressure on an individual, that's my employment gets thrown into that category because unfortunately it's quite constant. But I've had the benefit that, and it's partially because of the sector I'm in, but I've got a counsellor who I can go to within the workforce that can sort of give me a bit of guidance. What we've found is that it's something that needs to be considered more when companies are looking at what they spend money on, because it seems like it's very common that people are experiencing these issues in the workforce. And unfortunately, managers just aren't equipped to deal with that sort of thing, whether or not they don't have the skills or just the overall personal skills as well, to be able to actually have those conversations with employees. It's not something that many people are able to manage, and so unfortunately, the byproduct is we have a lot of people, as evidenced by what we've heard so far on this show, that do struggle when they get home from work because they're not having that sort of, they're either not in a rewarding space where they enjoy what they do, or they're not getting that support while they are at work to ensure that they can do their role in such a way that it doesn't have a negative effect. So to I guess summarize, yes, it's a huge issue. I think we need more male representation in the mental health space, because I think that's what, there's a byproduct there, that if there are more males who are actually advocating for this from the inside, then it, in theory, more males will actually go in and actually seek that support, I think, because it's, that's just how I feel it might work. But it's also just something to think about. If you really do think that you need that help, and you in turn are helping others, which most of us are to a certain extent, whether it's family, friends, you name it, we've all got someone that we're responsible for to some extent. It's something to think about. If you don't have someone who you feel you can turn to, those resources and those supports are available. And really, I always try to word it that I'm always more impressed by the individual who goes and talks about it than the one who doesn't, because I think that's the sign that we're starting to break down that theory that that men are unable to talk about these things. But unfortunately, it's men who have to fix that problem. But this is obviously a really good start. So I appreciate you, Ashley, for creating this sort of a platform for us gentlemen to talk about how life can sometimes suck a lot.
Yeah.
And one last point I'd like to make very quickly is that while you should always feel like you can reach out to a friend whenever you're having a mental health issue, there are times where your mental health breakdown may become so severe that you're in a mental health crisis. So make sure you have a mental health, mental health action plan, crisis action plan. Every part of the world, in America, it's 911. Every part of the world has a number that you can call, access paramedic to come take you to the hospital if you can't get there, or if you're so severely burnt out you can't drive. There's a national suicide hotline, 988. Know the address of the hospital, know your doctor's name, know the medications you take, and have certain family members that you trust, anybody that you trust, with that information to take care of you in their immediate custody before you get to those professionals. So make sure that you have a medical crisis plan in place if it gets to that point.
Good advice. Great advice. Bo, welcome to the show. It's been a minute, man. How you doing?
Yeah, it's been a minute. I'm doing all right. I see y'all got something heavy going on in here.
Yeah, but it's all good, man. This is what we do. This is what we need. Especially at a time like this when the world is uncertain. You don't know what's gonna happen next. So, but I want
it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that. I was, and we'll talk about it later. But I heard some of the fellas talking about creating a safe space for men to express themselves, and it struck a chord with me. But we'll talk more about that later. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know what's to you, like, share some of your experiences with anxiety and depression that you're going through, and then we're actually going to talk about how we're dealing with that in the next segment. But we were all kind of just sharing a little bit of what we're going through, because you never know who's listening.
Yeah. So for me, on the flip side of the anxiety and depression coin, I've never really suffered from anxiety and or depression. However, as I was listening to, I think your name's Nate.
Yeah.
As I was listening to Nate and his story about his sons, such a tragic story. but it brought back memories for me too. Fortunately enough, I have my son. My son is still with me. But when my son was born back in 2000 and how old is he now? Back in 2005. When he was born back in 05, everything appeared normal pregnancy, full 9 months, no issues on the ultrasound, nothing else. But when my son was born, literally it went from joy to panic in a matter. And actually, you and I have never even talked about this now that I think about it. It went from joy to panic in probably about 5 minutes when the doctor took a look at my son and he whisked him away to the ICU because they didn't know what was wrong with him. But the doctor took a look at him and knew something was wrong. His fingers were not shaped like average fingers. They were somehow the doctor recognized that they were shorter than average baby fingers. Fortunately for us, we had the head of the neonatal unit was actually the only doctor on duty when we went in because it was 4 o'clock in the morning. So he was there by himself. So he recognized that something wasn't right, took Matthew to the NICU, and they began running all kind of tests. They could not figure out what was wrong with him. The only thing that they knew is that his blood platelet level was dropping. His blood platelet level continued to drop. It got to the point where they were afraid of blood, what do they call it? Blood clots forming in his head or things of that sort. Blood was bleeding. They were afraid the blood was going to bleed into his head. So anyway, the doctor, they ran test after test after test. And I believe it was the next morning or so that they came back and they told us that he had a very rare genetic disorder. Technically, that's so rare that it doesn't really even have a name. They essentially, the name of the disorder is what the disorder is. So it is called chromosome 11q minus deletion syndrome.
Wow.
And so, I think they said that there were literally only maybe 200 or maybe it was 2,000, but in the entire world, it was either 200 or 2,000. So I know it's not a lot of people who suffer from the disease. So, or the disorder. So they literally, like, the doctor was a neonatal unit. He had been there for 25 years and he had never heard of it. And so they actually wanted to use Matthew as a case study. They didn't know what his prognosis was. They didn't know if he would live through the night. They didn't know if, they didn't know what would happen. So try to fast forward through some of this. It was, Matthew was in the hospital for weeks. It was a horrible touch and go. Every day they had to monitor his blood level and see if blood was bleeding into his brain. And his blood platelets were not aggregating correctly, which is apparently also a condition of the disorder. So as they prepared us to go home, after a couple of weeks of him being in the hospital, they had no idea of his prognosis. They couldn't tell us anything because when you looked at the spectrum of children with that disorder, some of them were able to go to school and, perhaps get somewhat of an education. And then there were others who were, who didn't live very long at all because they were in such bad shape. So we really didn't know what to expect. So we just went home with Matthew, and his blood platelet level had to be constantly monitored. Some of the children who have chromosome 11q minus disorder, they can't eat. They have to be fed with a tube. They're deaf. They're blind. Some of them are all of those things together. So Matthew is actually somewhere in the middle. He is hard of hearing. He does wear hearing aids. He is developmentally delayed. The average person would not be able to understand him when he speaks. His blood platelet level seems to have settled in a low but acceptable range, but has to continue to be monitored for his entire life. When he was a child, like, we couldn't let him do traditional things because a cut could be deadly because he wouldn't stop bleeding. So we dealt with that. So anyway, that was a stressful time for me, and I don't want to focus on that, because I say all that to say, to some degree, Nate, I know what you feel about your children. Like I said, my son is still here. He's upstairs right now. But when you mention things about like doing certain things with your kids or things of that sort, it can be tough. It can be tough because you don't, and similar, like you said, your son was a junior. Well, my son, he's the third. So, so for us who are passing that on to our kids, one of the things that we struggle with is recognizing that that's the end of our line. And knowing that there won't be a carry on of that family name. So I had to come to grips with that, because Matthew will never have children, because he's not mentally capable of doing that. Like I said, he'll be 20 in August. But I say all that to say that in our quest to deal with these things, it's very important that we have a support system. Because Nate, you mentioned something concerning to me that I want to address, because it's an old school way of thinking, and I understand because me and you are probably about the same age. It's an old school way of thinking to think that a man has to carry everything. He doesn't. And I say all that to say because we're strong, right? We're strong. I used to lift weights a lot, so I'm still pretty strong even at my old age. But the problem with carrying things is that you don't know when it's too heavy until either one, you drop it, or two, it crushes you. So you don't know when something's too heavy to carry. So you can't say that it makes you a man to be able to carry heavy things, because you can say, well, I'm a man because I can carry the heavy load, but wouldn't a smarter man have someone to help him carry this load? Wouldn't a manlier man understand that it is important for him to be there for the rest of his family, for those who are still involved? Wouldn't that cause him to understand that this load needs to be spread out among others so that it's not so heavy to carry? That's the response. See, a man's job isn't just to carry the heavy things. It's maybe your job to carry the heaviest things. My wife is very athletic, and so she, I count on her for a lot of things. We were moving a couch one day, or I needed to move a couch from the truck to the house. I was going to call up one of my guys, and she's like, no, I can help you. And I'm like, okay, well, look, if you want to try, so she picked up the couch, right? And she's got the couch up, and I'm like, man, she picked this couch up. She's holding her half, right? So then I pick my end up, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And I start walking. Then all of a sudden, she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I got to put it down. I got to put it down. And that's when I realized we were both shouldering a burden, right? But as a man, my burden was heavier than hers. However, she still couldn't handle it. So what that led me to realize is we carry what we can. We don't have to carry everything. Carry what you can. As a man, your load is naturally going to be heavier because you're stronger, right? That's what I realized with that couch. I was already carrying the heavier load. But when I realized she was still struggling, I had to try to find another option because, okay, I mean, what do we do? So I say all that to say, and that goes to all of you, we can't afford to do this by ourselves. Man, as we have existed for thousands of years, has changed. And I don't think it's a thing. I don't believe in evolution. So it's not, I won't say that we've evolved, but we have changed. I think that our brains have developed to a point in which we understand that we are not Neanderthals. There was a similar understanding among Black people back in the 17 and 1800s when they failed to realize that we were human. And they said that we were less than human, and they treated us like animals because they said that we were less than human. And so it took years for them to acknowledge that we were human too, and that we had emotions and feelings. And not only that, they were the same emotions and feelings that they had. But that was a learning process. So similarly, I think men over the last, I'd say even 20, 30 years recently have begun to evolve to the point where all of a sudden we start to care about our emotional health. We start to realize the fact. See, back in the day, back in my granddaddy's day, my granddaddy had 15 kids. How did he deal with it? He was probably drunk most of the time. Right? So is that what makes a man? The fact that he could deal with it and be, even though he was drunk most of the time? No. He would have been much better served to speak to someone about it and figure out how to, well, first of all, how to stop having kids, because he had 15 of them joints. But anyway, he would have been much better served to find out how to deal with the situation versus going to alcohol, because alcohol isn't a solution, it's a mask. It's like putting on deodorant when you need to take a bath. So I feel that there needs to be a safe space, and that's what I was going to talk to Ashley about, because I do a bit of podcasting myself, and I was thinking about trying to perhaps start a podcast, and I was looking for something to podcast about. And I think that maybe this may be a good topic for me to look at or look into. But I think that, like I said, going back to what I said, it's important that you have a support system, because, like I said, you know, I've been through my fair share of trials and tribulations. Prior to, you know, Matthew wasn't, how can I put this? Matthew wasn't my first pregnancy. Okay. So, I've been through my fair share of trials and tribulations, but I think that a support system is awesome. I have a group of fellas that I love and I talk to when things get heavy. You know, and this is going to sound funny, but they don't know my wife, and I prefer it that way. Because sometimes there are things that I need to talk about that I don't want my wife I don't want to be concerned about them dudes meeting my wife and knowing all of my secrets. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and I also, as much as I sometimes vent about my wife, I don't need them to view her in a negative light, because I don't want that. So it's important that you have a group of people that you can trust, that you can vent to, that you can express yourself emotionally to. People that understand you, people that know what you're going through. You don't have to necessarily have been through the same thing to understand what somebody's going through, because, you know, similarly, I'm hearing all these guys talk about their stories, and I hear a bit of myself in all of them. But the best I can say is, you know, I used to talk to my dad a lot. He was a huge I used to share with him everything before he died. That's something else that I went through a few years back, because I used to talk to him about everything, you know, including like my wife, women troubles, men troubles at job. It was him. And so, you know, I used to talk to him, and then later on, I made really good friends, and I made a really good friend here in North Carolina. And he was an older guy. He was about 15, 20 years older than me. So I would talk to him about everything. He became like a father figure to me after my dad passed away. Hurricane Helene came along back in September, and there was one casualty in the city of Charlotte, and it was him. A tree fell and crushed his house and crushed him in the process. The only casualty in the city of Charlotte, because it didn't come from the storm itself. It came from the wind, and it just so happened that his neighbor's tree was overgrown, and they didn't cut it down, and it fell on his house. So after he passed, you know, I had to try to find somebody else. And the key is, you have to understand that you have to find people to confide in, people to talk to. Whoever that may be, you have to have somebody, because sometimes you can't carry the load. You just can't. And as much as we think we can, you just can't. So,
and I think it's important to realize that it's okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong
It's
with
okay
that.
not to be okay. It's okay to be like, yo, I'm just not having a good day. This is just
It
a bad
happens.
time.
It
Right.
it happens.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
And
and to
if it
touch
gets
on also, yeah. So
no,
to
I was
touch
just
on what
gonna
he
say if it
said,
gets to the
no,
point where you need professional help, then you need professional help. It is what it is. I remember I was caring for somebody, I was taking care of somebody, and I was at his bedside, and he couldn't control his bladder, right? And he's all embarrassed. I'm like, dude, I don't give a crap about that. No pun intended. But the point is, you do what you can, and anybody who's really there for you isn't going to care. If you need help, you need help. What's important is that you get the help you need. So whatever level of help that you need, that's what's important. Because at the end of the day, somebody loves you, somebody needs you, and somebody would be very sad if you were not around.
That's right.
and also a really great point about addiction is that there's a lot of what's called functioning addiction in society, which is where people who are addicts, whether it's alcohol, drugs, gambling, whatever that may be, think, oh, well, I'm holding down a job. I pay my mortgage. My kids are fed. My alcohol, my drugs, my gambling, that's not a problem. It's still an addiction and it's still a mask. So
A coping mechanism, which we're getting ready to
coping,
talk
bad
about.
cope. Yeah.
This is exactly
Bad
what
cope.
we'll talk about. Healthy ways to cope with the various things that we go through on a daily basis. And sometimes when it's those fleeting moments when you have that quiet time to yourself and that image or whatever just pops into your mind, you got to be able to cope with that, you know? So actually, Jacob, I'm gonna start with you first in your, you know, with your profession. Um, what would you feel would be some healthy coping mechanisms or healthy ways to cope with these anxiety and the depression that we feel, and even maybe be able to help it, just relieve it altogether?
This comes back to distractions, right, and positive ones at that. And I often find that things that have sort of an end reward or some sort of progress in it, things that really help me. I'm quite a creative person, so my default's always music. But for a lot of people in this league, it's the league. Yeah, I know that's something that I've talked about at extensively with a few people that I'm close to in the league, and we all agree that it's often I think because it fits that sort of idea of it being something that's got progress in it, and there's an intended goal. I mean, it's as much as the games kill me, the actual coaching element and sitting down and scouting, it's something that takes quite a bit of brain power, but it's also very low pressure. So it's a good distraction. So I encourage anyone who is looking for something like that, ask your SFL team if they need a scout, because trust me, that's something that I have always found to be a good distraction. But I mean, really, it comes down to something that you enjoy doing, that doesn't require any effort. It's low pressure. It's not taxing at all on you, and it takes you away from what was causing you stress in the first place. And yeah, everyone's got unique answers to that question, but it's if you don't know, I'd encourage you to have a conversation with yourself as to what you do in your life that achieves that purpose, so that you can turn to it in a time of need.
Gotcha.
I'll go next. So make sure that you don't let social media hack into your lizard brain and take control of you and what
Yeah,
you
good point.
hear and see and your content. These social media apps are like casinos. Every aspect of it, from the way the floors are made, the ceilings, where the slot machines are put, how they're put there. You know, everything. Like casinos do not have right angles. They don't have places where you can make a choice. They're naturally designed for you to just keep walking through. The floors and the ceilings are designed to be ugly so that you only look at the games because you want something pleasing to see. And social media apps are this way. They're just designed to keep you engaged with it. And it doesn't matter what it feeds you. It doesn't care what you consume on it. I would have times where I would just be consuming police body cam videos. That's not even remotely close to healthy for me, or not even healthy for the people who do that job, let alone someone that really doesn't have to do that. So always make sure that, look, at the end of the day, you cannot get away from social media because it's so permeated into our society. I mean, it's literally tied directly into the phone that you need in case something happens to you. You can't afford to be without your phone, right? I mean, you got to be able to call 911 at a moment's notice if something happens. But that same device that allows you to connect to your family and your friends and reach out when you need help is the same device that's designed to keep you hooked. So always make sure that you empower yourself to kind of like be active in what you're looking at and go, is this good for me? Is this really something I should be consuming? Should I be watching this? We've all agreed the news is terrible. Like, don't watch the news. Like, we don't have to tell anybody here that because we know it's bad for us. So just kind of make sure that whatever you're seeing, like if you get to a point where you go, is this really good for me? Chances are maybe it's not, and just shut it down. There's a lot of ways. Like I personally have my recommendations turned off on YouTube. I got off of Facebook completely. I don't use Instagram. I don't use Twitter. I don't go on Reddit, unless, of course, I need to fix my computer or something. Yeah. But, yeah, make sure that you really don't let social media get the better of you because it's not your friend. It's a bad cope.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it. Robert.
You want healthy or non-healthy?
Well, you can, if you, whatever you feel is on your heart to say, because you can talk about the unhealthy choices that you could do, but of course that's going to have detrimental outcomes. So you'd want to choose the more healthy option so that you can still be around,
Like I said, I've tried it all. Anything that I could figure out to mask this thing and bring me up a little bit, I've tried it. Anybody, eventually when I get to a convention, you'll see them. I got scars everywhere. It's not fun to admit, but hey, we got that.
Yeah.
Ice cubes help a lot because it's one of those things that is a trigger for me and it's something you just can't do. Ice cubes give me the same sensation, but without the pain. So that's one of the healthy things for me. The league, obviously, as Jacob said, he's out of his mind. Scouting is not fun, not easy. I worked for Axel. That's not fun at all. And BJ. Let me be honest with that right now. But no,
that's probably why it's not fun. It's fun for me, but that's probably why it's not fun because if you were in Sin City, you'd probably be having holler at me later. We'll talk about it.
No, I'm committed, but they'd kill me otherwise. But obviously the league. I was worried about the league to start because I have an addictive personality. So once I get into something, I dive in head first. I have thousands of dollars into Warhammer figures because I thought that'd be okay because I started painting. Board games, same thing.
I understand that. Yeah.
I play Magic the Gathering and I'm quite good at it. So that's something that stuck because it makes my brain work.
You play D&D?
Yes, ma'am. Those are the things that help me keep my brain working. Video games help a lot, but that can be sometimes too much. I have to have the thing that helps me the most is obviously Portia. Having a great support system in your wife or your partner, it makes it easy to go. I can't, as Bo was saying, you can't carry it by yourself. And as I meant to say, as men, because I'm 43, and I grew up not in the city. I grew up in the country. So farm boys, there was no talking about nothing. It was you go to your work, you go on with your life. And it took Portia to help me go, because let's be honest, and I'm going to shout out to my wife real quick. She saved my life. Without Portia, I would still be doing everything that I shouldn't be doing. But coping now for me is her and our daughter, now they know before I do when I'm in trouble. And they will, hey, are you okay? Yep, I'm okay. No, you're not. Okay, how do we fix this? Okay, let's go take the dog for a walk. Something to get me going. Because if you sit there and stew in your own depression, your own thoughts, anybody's thoughts, especially mine, if you start to go down into that hole, you'll never get out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the other sucky part is I have bipolar. So bipolar and depression is very hard. So my depression hits at an instant. Like I could be super happy and then one thing goes wrong and I'm done. But therapy, as you said, was great. It took Portia to get me to even get seen for medication. I would have none of it. And it was everything I could do to fight that. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. Therapy. I don't need it. I got this. Oh, I didn't have it. 18 years I didn't have it. Find what works for you. That is the best thing you could ever find. Find what works for you. What makes you happy? Even if it's just a minute piece of light that you can find, grab it and hang on to it with both hands. Because there's like times like Jacob said, the league is a great place if you're winning.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're like when I was scouting for Minnesota, the losses, that hurt. That wasn't good for me. But thankfully, I have friends in the league that I've made that are real good friends.
Yeah.
When you win, it's great. When you lose, it kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
it's something that I love. You can sit and scout and I don't have to think about life. I'm just focused on one play at a time. And I guess that kind of metaphors into survival for me with bipolar depression. It's just one play at a time. I can't look forward. I can't look 6-7 plays down the road. I got to deal with this one play at a time.
Yes, sir.
Yep. When you're winning, you're heroes and rock stars. You know, everybody loves you and you got the trophy on the parade float. But man, when you're losing and losing a lot, you can't find anybody to sit next to you on the bus ride home.
I wouldn't know. Minnesota never lost that much.
Too. There you go. Facts.
Hey, Nate.
We don't got no Aztecs in here, do we? Huh?
No, we don't.
That's right.
Yeah. What was with the Aztec shuffle? Like, he's going to score. He's right there. And then he did a dance and he went the wrong way. Like, in the next play, he became the biggest fan of whoever was going to get the ball back.
Don't give Dags any credit at all for anything.
Let them guys live, man. Let them guys live, man.
He definitely went the wrong way. But Nate, how are you coping, man? What ways are you coping with that? You know, when that and things like that.
I just like helping people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That brings me up a little bit. You know what I mean? Any way I can help out or participate, or you know, if somebody want to talk to me, I'm all ears are open. You know what I mean? So, I don't. It's hard for me to give it back to somebody else, but I will listen to somebody else's situations and try to help them, because my thing is I don't think everybody understands the situation that I was put in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because out of all my friends, I don't think no one has no problem child, like, you know what I mean, or a situation child like that. So, but I think it's best for me to, like you said, just move on, not move on, but don't forget nothing, but, you know, just still interact with people, you know what I mean, keep the conversation game still going and help out as much as I can, because, you know, you can't just sit by yourself and just, oh, woe is me, you know what I mean? So I figure I can get out here and just participate, you know, any way I can, you know, because like I'm 48 years old, about to be 49 in November. So um, learn to travel more and enjoy life. You know, take trips and just see what this other side is doing. That's different from Cincinnati. You know what I mean? So just trying to be a growner man than I was when I was 40 and 30 and 20 and all that. You know what I mean? Just keeping the spirit up and just, you know, like I said, and the funny thing I want to tell you this, my stepdaughter, she's a brother of my kids. Her sons have this disease. So that's probably one of my relays who I can talk to because she understands and she was there when the kids were born. So she has a great effect and she understands the tribulations that we had to go through to, you know, just to keep it pushing and make things work. So yeah, and I think she said they're having like a meeting in Denver in August. I might go
Okay.
just because I want to hear more about the subject. You know what I mean? From a professional point of view. You know what I mean? So and get to meet other people who had the same situation that I was going through. So
Right.
you know, yeah, just open up and just learn and listen.
Indeed.
Understand.
Indeed.
And it goes
Eddie
back
said,
to with Brian, what Bo mentioned was that Brian came from a community and was raised in a culture that, as a man, you carried everything. And what happened? It crushed him. So, like Bo said, never feel as a man that you have to carry everything. Share the load.
Right.
Eddie wanted to know if you were going to Baltimore, Nate.
Say what?
Are you going to Baltimore?
I'm gonna try because I just got this job. So
Well,
yeah,
if
it's
a
on my
room,
list. I'm trying.
if the room is an issue, Bo needs a roommate. So half the battle. You know what I'm saying?
True that.
I have to get my transition lenses first if I do go, because all the Aztec championship rings, they're going to be all out on the fingers and the thumbs, and they're going to be waving their hands everywhere. And
Gross.
it's going to be so bright in the room.
Well, I got more than them, so.
There you go. But get on my level, like Bill Russell.
I got more than them, so.
Like 6 rings, that's it.
Well, that's Saran. That's Saran.
Apparently, Bo won $336 million. So we trying to figure out why.
Yeah, spread some of that load, man.
Man, spread
some of that.
Listen, as I said, shoot, I will take $336 right now. I need whatever I can get.
So man, I'll take $3.36.
336 million?
Must be one of Eddie's inside sources.
I mean, listen, unless he's talking about the new contract that Bo Martin Jr. signed with Sin City for like the 7-year, $336 million deal. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I don't know, but
I think that's in a crypto coin. It's only actually 42 cents. Yeah,
I swear Eddie's just making up stuff, man. You gotta watch Eddie.
Half of it's true. You don't know which half it is.
Or maybe that's the offer to come back to come back to AZ. Holla at your boy. 336.
Stop it.
Right.
I don't know where we could get that from. Listen.
Look, hey, that with 336 million, I might be able to buy 3 points of speed.
And get
Depends
that much.
On how the training camp plays out.
But
let me stop. My bad, Cam. My bad.
You're stupid. Bo, before we end things, I want to know, what are some of your healthy coping mechanisms, or any healthy coping mechanisms that you can probably suggest for other people?
So first and foremost, I already mentioned the support system. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention prayer. I'm not going to go all into details, about how you pray or what you pray, or because, that's kind of personal and probably for another show at another time. But that part is definitely helpful. And Eddie just brought up talking to mom is always huge. Yeah. Like I say, I used to talk to my dad. I used to talk to dad. I lost dad back in 2018, but mom's still around. And so I do talk to her almost every day. Trying to, when I was thinking about Nate, again, I was like, for me, and this is something that I try to do for things that I've gone through, because every story is an opportunity for a testimony. And I understand how difficult, or I can't understand, I should say, how difficult it is to go through something like that. But the only thing that I can imagine would help me is that if I went through something similar, hearing someone like Nate to tell his story would really help me if I had been through something similar. And I mean, like I said, I've gone through a lot with my son. And I'll be going through, like I said, my son will never, venture off on his own. He'll never leave home. He'll never be married. He'll never have kids, et cetera, et cetera. My daughter just left the room. I don't know if y'all saw her. She gave me a hug before she went to bed. But like I said, I think that your story could be so powerful if it were shared. And I think you might be surprised as that actually would help you to cope with the loss of your sons. Instead of living in their death, keeping them alive in your words, because I feel like you could bring so much honor to them and what they meant to you by telling people. Because I'm sure for the short time they were on earth, they had some amazing stories that unfortunately they're no longer able to tell. But who knows those stories better than you? And so
they were superstars, bro.
You see what I'm saying? And so I feel like that would be a healing for you. So we were talking about what to do to kind of help cope. I know it sounds counterintuitive to say talking about them would help, because you might think it would hurt to, some people don't like to bring up memories. Listen, some people will say, oh no, I don't want to talk about that because it might make me cry. Well, guess what? That's an emotion that we were born with, and that emotion is a gift. That emotion is a gift, and those tears will help to regulate your emotions. And so when you're in when my daughter was little, I used to always tell her, because she would just start crying when she wanted something, I would say, that's not what tears are for. Tears aren't just because you want something. You cry, when you hurt, when you're in pain, or when you're sad, and so I said, I'm not telling you don't cry, but I'm just telling you, that's not what tears are for. And so she learned, what tears are for. And so I always say, as long as tears are for the right reason, there's nothing wrong with them. Let them flow, because that's going to do nothing besides enhance your story. But I do think it's a story that needs to be told, as well as for the rest of you guys too, because again, going back to what men go through, and I'm sorry, I know I get long with it, so I'm gonna try to say this and then I'll be done. But going back what men go through, going back to what we go through, and what Nate was talking about earlier, just like Nate said that our job is to be strong, our job is to bear the heavy burden. You know how many millions of men feel that way and never say a word? You know how many millions of men right now are trying to figure out what they're going to do because they don't feel like they have anybody that they can talk to. And so I think that the fact that all of you are comfortable in telling your stories, don't stop telling your stories, because other people need to hear it, because there's not enough men who are, in my opinion, that makes you man enough. There's not enough men who are man enough to show that we are human too. And so I think that when it comes to the healing process, when it comes to helping us out, what's up, Uncle Todd? When it comes to helping us to be better men, because at the end of the day, that's going to help you all to be better men, going to help you to be better fathers, better sons, better, better parents in general, better brothers to your sisters, and a better spouse to your spouse. I think that us being in tune with who we are as men and finding out where we stand can only make us better. And so I think all of that is part of the healing process. And so along with that circle of men that you have, or that foundation that you create, don't try to bury your message. Bring it out, and you'd be surprised how it's a healing.
Yep. And when you look at anything that it's all about breaking the cycle. And the way that we break the cycle, when you look at any kind of ill of society, no matter what it is, especially men not coming forward about their conditions and not sharing, the answer is almost always across the board: education. And education is not always just what you read in a classroom or what you learn on a blackboard or a whiteboard. It's sharing our stories with each other, not just within the SFL community, but out there in the world. And what's going to happen is that our children, I don't have any children right now, but I have a nephew. He's a little guy. He's like 9, 10 years old. He has the coolest pirate sword on Roblox, so he's obviously doing something right. So I love that little guy so much. And when he sees that Uncle Jesse is paying his bills and healthy and doing well, but also comfortable talking about his struggles, he's going to feel he can do that too. And that is something that we can all do within each other to keep us all from feeling like we have to bottle that in all the time. Like, share it, be comfortable sharing it. Now, there are certain things that you don't have to share in certain contexts. Like, if you go to a job interview, you don't have to put on your application you have a disability. You don't have to show the interviewer that you have a disability. There are places where you do have a right to keep your mental health private. You don't have to share the medications you take with people. You don't have to share your treatments or if you've been hospitalized. But, however you're feeling, be okay with sharing that, because there's other people out there that may be afraid of sharing it. And when they see you do it, they're going to be okay with doing it too.
Sorry, Ash.
Indeed.
Sorry, Ash.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say something that I had to discover was, as a father to a now, God forbid, teenage daughter, me being as hard, I guess you could call it, as I tried to be, I'm not showing her what a healthy relationship she should be looking for is either. And that, when I finally figured that part out, that hit me like a ton of bricks. So just for all the dads out there, remember that really affects what your kids see. Sons, how to be like their dads. Daughters, what to look for in a man. And that is definitely not cool. That's not something I would want my kid to go through at all.
Yeah, true. And life is a learning process, and a lot of times learning can be painful. So I understand, how that can feel. I've never been a parent, and one thing I do know from people who became parents is that it's an event when that little hand wraps around your finger, it changes your DNA completely. You are never the same person for as long as you live. Now, I have not had that kind of experience, but I do know it's very real, and I can empathize as best I can with how that feels. So, you're doing
and I think
great.
that's a start, guys.
That's a start.
But having empathy and having sympathy and feeling that, understanding that you are not in anybody else's body but your own. And you could try to tell someone how they should react to a situation, how they should be. But that's not fair. The only thing that you really could do, that you really should do, is try to be as empathetic and as sympathetic as you can and try to help where you can. Because, and I'm going to end it, I'm going to end this, but I think there's somewhere a switch was turned off or changed where people just stopped giving a damn. And it's all about me. It's all about what I got going on. It's all about me and mine. And when that changed, I think that the world started going south and people just stopped caring. So if we can just as a group here and anybody that's watching, just start with like, give a damn. Listen. You may not have the answers. Like, I may not have the answers to any one of your particular issues or instances. But my goal for this tonight and with the other shows that I do, is for you to leave feeling better than when you came in the door, even if it's just a little bit. You know, that kind of stuff means more to me than money ever will. So I really do hope that this helped. I really do hope that this was somewhat therapeutic. I know this is about an hour and 30 minutes into it, you know, and but I really hope that us being able to talk and being able to hear each other and get some advice, you know, from Jacob and things of that nature. I'm really hoping that we can continue this dialogue. And I was wrong. I should not just said, "Hey, Nate, you called me." Anybody on this panel, if you feeling any kind of way, you know, I'm here for you too. You can add me to your support system. You know, you need as many people as you can that actually care. People can be in your life and act like they care, but at the end of the day, you'll figure that out. You figure out who's really going to be there for you and who's not, and you gravitate towards those people. And just know that I think, like what Bo said, with prayer, if, you know, if you're spiritual, if you're religious, definitely prayer and asking for closure, that definitely helps. Um, but a lot of times we're like a snow globe. You have like this beautiful little thing inside, right? But we're always shaking, we're always moving. The snow is everything is always everywhere. And sometimes it just takes you just to settle down, be still for a minute, and things will come to you. Ideas will come to you. Peace will come to you. You'll be able to just kind of think clearly when you just stop moving. Another good another good example of that was Bruce Lee. I forget. I want to say it's Into the Dragon, when he has fought all these enemies and they trap him in this room and he can't get out. Like he's searching, he's looking for a way out. And when he finds that there's nothing he can do, he puts his nunchucks around his neck and he just sits there,
Yeah,
conserving energy.
the dragon. You're right.
That scene meant a lot to me, even to this day, because sometimes that's what you just need to do. When you feel like there's no way out, the walls closing in, this stuff is just too much. Just be still.
And this community is incredible. It really is. It's easy for something like the SFL to easily become a club. This is our club. Whose friend are you? Have you vetted him yet? Yeah, go hang out with him. See if he's fit for the club. Never have I ever felt that here for a second. Let's come on in. Be yourself. Be who you want to be. You know, I look at the convention videos and in the photos, I just see people who just love each other and don't care about the petty differences that separate all of us. It's been an amazing experience, and I'm so glad to be a part of this cool, fun, and really amazing part of the internet universe. And bring them all in. Come on, I'm one and all.
All right, fellas. Thank you so much. If you have any last words to say before I end things off, now is the time to do so. Other than that, I want to thank each one of you for your time and your patience and for your attention. I really do appreciate that, guys.
Well,
Anybody
I put a book title in the chat for anybody who's interested. It's a really I know it's a strange title.
I've read that and I love it. That's a great book.
It's an amazing book. And it really talks about how to deal with a lot of life's problems and a lot of things that we go through, and how sometimes we need to focus on what's really important and where we apply our efforts and our energy. So I think it's it's very entertaining. I listen to the audio book because I'm not much of a reader, so I listen to it on audio. But if you haven't read it, it's very entertaining, and it's also very helpful.
Yeah, he makes a great point in that book. He says that people say when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. No, lemons suck, but you drink and eat the lemons because that's part of being a grown-up. So it's a great book. Really,
I'll have to check that out. All right, anybody else?
Also, all my attributes, I don't know who you have to call to fix this. They should all be at 100, but for some reason, they're a lot lower
They're a lot lower.
than they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I need some way to get in.
We actually have a hack for that. If you talk to Sin City, we'll talk to you. Just come on over.
All right.
He gets a training camp. Let him go.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Make
Can
sure
you say that again? Exactly the way you just said it. Right.
Spend your money wisely at training camp, though, because you get one shot to spend all of this money and build your player the way it needs to be successful. So just pay attention to what you're doing, and you know,
man.
Like if you're a halfback, please don't progress jump. Like just saying.
I know somebody who did that. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Trying to go Walter Payton over the goal line.
Everybody think they're gonna be like Saquon Barkley and do like a back jump over somebody. Like you jump backwards.
Yeah.
That's what they're
going
on
your head.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you for being here. I want to thank everybody in the chat for hanging out, with us for an hour and 40 minutes. This has been awesome, therapeutic for me. Hopefully it helped you gentlemen too, and anybody else that's watching. I'd love to do this again, maybe later on down the line. We can definitely, work something else out, but just want to let you guys know that I do genuinely care about all of you. We may not always see eye to eye on certain things, but at the end of the day, I care about the person that you are, So have a good night, gentlemen. Everybody else have a good night. I'm looking forward to bringing you another great show. I'm thinking Thursday, if everything goes well. But until then, y'all stay safe and treat each other well. Put your goodbyes in the chat. I'd love to run across the screen as we're ending tonight. But for Robert, for Jesse, Jacob, Nate, and Bo, thank you. And good night, everybody. Appreciate you.
I'm scared to leave you, but I know I need to.
Leave that depression, y'all.
I know I need to.
Leave that anxiety alone, man.
But I know
you don't need it.
I know I need to. I know I need to. I need to set you free. Move on with your life, just let you be. Holding hands in the back of an SUV. Ain't nobody else like an SUV for you. I believe for you. I'm on 10, fuck that, 15 for you. I love you, but I love my freedom too. I know what I must do, but I'm really just scared to leave you. But I know I need to. I know I need to. I know I need to. I need to set you free. Move on with your life, just let you be. Holding hands in the back of an SUV. And ain't nobody else like an SUV for you. I believe for you. I'm on 10, fuck that, 15 for you. I love you, but I love my freedom too. I know what I must do, but I'm really just scared to leave. I wanna be alone more than ever. Less free time, more endeavors. Less romance, more get cheddar. Some say both, I'm more instead of. We've been better. I can't afford any more vendettas. Some feed off it, I'm more get fed up. Some sheep-esque, I'm more trendsetter. I can't adore any more antennas. I'm overly in tune, I'm overstimulated, I'm over me and you. I'm overeating too, I'm drinking again. I'm outside the house, I'm linking with friends. You found me at the end of peak innocence. My love is dried up like ink in this pen. And now that I'm thinking again, I'm not scared to leave you. Cause I know I need to. I know I need to. I know I need to. I'm not scared to leave you, cause I know I need to. I know I need to. I know I need to. I need to set you free.
You